Hey, stargazers, welcome to November of 2025. So, we are doing the horoscope in the middle of the month, mostly because there's not a lot left to say. And for those of you here in the United States, we have Thanksgiving coming up around the corner. And of course, we've had a 40 some day government shutdown. We've had these greedy bastards literally denying families SNAP funding, so they can actually, I don't know, eat. Um, there's been a whole lot going up until this point, and now the Epstein files and Trump, and where does this all leave us? So, a couple things I just want to say before we get started. So, if you're looking for a typical November horoscope, you won't find it here today. This is literally all about what's coming up as the month rolls on, and this is all specific to the United States, corruption at the highest levels of power, exploitation of young girls, and poverty. Right, literally taking advantage of people's poverty. As well as, all this other good stuff and Thanksgiving. So, a couple of things like this is still an ongoing development with, the Epstein files and Trump and the government shutdown and, SNAP funding. So the first thing I want to say before we start the video, let me get this off my chest. If you or anyone you know is okay with the idea of denying anybody, like food assistance at this time, especially right now, as we're heading into Thanksgiving, which is all about the celebration of family and food. Here's the message I have for you or these people that you know that believe this is okay. You can go straight back to hell, because what kind of awful person? Typically, it's the most comfortable people that are the most judgmental, like people who really haven't had to struggle in life. So I don't know how anybody can be so ugly inside. So there's that. For the rest of you, make sure you go down to the local food pantries, food kitchens, because just because the government shutdown is over doesn't mean that people are going to recover fast. And still, we're waiting for SNAP funding. So make sure you donate a little bit this Thanksgiving and give thanks for the fact that you have food to give. Okay, now let's take a look at November. Now, so one of the things that's happening in the United States, in case you've been living under a rock here in the United States, is that the representative from whose name, God bless her, I cannot pronounce. She's a lovely Chicana girl, cannot pronounce her name, in Arizona, finally got sworn in. Now, thanks to the Lawrence O'Donnell show and his staff, somebody on there believes in astrology, I'm convinced. I'll put the link below, they literally gave us the exact time that she signed the petition and became the 118th signature to force the Epstein files to be released. Right. They literally gave us the exact time. So they were watching the clock and they gave it to us. Thank you, Lawrence O'Donnell staff. So now the question is, can that type of event chart, give us any indication of what to expect now that the petition has been signed and it's being forwarded to the Senate for a vote? Because apparently it's a two-part thing. They needed 118 signatures on the petition to make it official, so that they could send it off to be voted on in the Senate, which is the second part, which decides whether it will or will not be honored and files will be released. So, my friends, I set up the chart for those of you following along at home that have access to astrology programs or using one of the online services and you want to set the chart up and take a look at it. The date that Gravalda, I'm struggling with her name, signed the petition, which was immediately after she got sworn in, was at 4:22 p.m. in Washington, D.C. on November 12th. So for those of you following along, you can set the chart up for 4:22 p.m. on November 12th, 2025. Okay, now in this chart, so because this is weird because it's all experimental, we've never really done these types of charts before because the ancients didn't have democracies like we have. Certainly, anyway. One of the things that comes up very, very prominently in this chart, I'm going to show you this, right, is the moon sits at 28 Leo. Now, the thing about the moon, we know that in event charts specifically, and Hararis, the moon at the 28th degree, in those very last degrees of a sign, typically indicate that a matter is coming to a close and there's nowhere to go with it. So it's kind of a moot point, right? Now, if you use modern rulers, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, it's technically not void of course yet. It is squaring Uranus. If you don't use the modern rulers, the modern planets, then technically the moon is void of course, which means that the signature on the petition was kind of a moot point. Like it's not going to really do anything, which is interesting, right? Because it's like, what do you mean it's not going to do anything, right? This is the last thing any of us want to hear. We just want this done behind us in the rear view. We want all those dirty D mother. We want them buried under the freaking prison. You leave our little girls alone. Now, what's interesting, now I know some people subscribe to the idea that Trump is Leo rising. He is not. He is not. But for those of you that do, this is even more compelling, right? I still say he's 1 to 2 Virgo rising, and we'll talk about that again, like a broken record in a minute. But even if he were late Leo rising, okay, like 29 Leo rising, the moon at 28 Leo in this chart, which is the chart for the signature of the petition, sits not only on his ascendant if he's late Leo rising, but also definitely either way on his Mars. His Mars is at 26 Leo. So what this suggests is that this particular event, right, which is the signing of the petition, is going to have a deep, inflammatory, emotional impact for Trump, which in less than 24 hours, that's exactly what we saw. In case you missed it, one of the things that happened is that he dragged in some of the weaker Republican House reps to try and strong arm about the petition, Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, the crazy one, right, into the Situation Room, which is a top secret, secured, like anything, literally what is said in there stays in there. Drag them into the thing to try and strong arm them into removing their names from the petition. And we know this because Lauren Boebert said, F you, I'm not doing it, and came out and then told the rest of us about it. Who knew? Who knew I would ever be applauding Lauren Boebert? But man, I mean, listen, there are some things you just don't do with a redneck woman, and that's try to push and bully your way through because, nah, she's not having it. So Lauren Boebert's like, yeah, that's a big F you, buddy. I'm signing the petition, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, as it turns out, even if he could have strong-armed those two and a couple of others into removing their names from the petition that was signed to force the release of these files, surprise, apparently, because the rep from Arizona, whose name I cannot pronounce, I'm so sorry, miss, I'm so sorry. Once she officially signed it, you cannot take your name back. Like, it's done. It's a done deal. So she literally signed, sealed, and delivered, the killing blow about these files. But again, the question becomes, if the moon void of course, if it's void of course, if you're using traditional planets, and the moon void of course means that it's a moot point. It's not really going anywhere. Like, what are we doing with this kind of thing? It's kind of like a lame duck, right? Like his presidency. Well, what does that mean, right? Well, within 24 hours, we were getting some really damning emails between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell from way back in the day from the files. And apparently these emails, which are part of the files that these journalists and authorities now have access to, they didn't need to vote on this because these came directly from the estate. The Epstein estate was subpoenaed and required to hand over the documents that they had to the people requesting it, and they did. And that's where these emails started leaking out. So even before the official vote in the Senate in a week on releasing these files, they're already being released. So they found a roundabout, and they're pushing it through. And that is why, my friends, this whole signing the petition is kind of a moot point, because the whole point of signing the petition was so that we can see the documents. Well, somebody found the workaround, and they're releasing the documents to us anyway, piece by piece. So we don't actually need the Senate signature. But it's kind of locked everybody into place, which I thought was fascinating. And again, remember, the moon at 28 Leo sits dead on Trump's Mars at 26 Leo. And for those of you who believe that he is Leo rising, it's absolutely on his ascendant. So the Mars ascendant, or just Mars with the moon there, her signature on this petition, this particular event, is literally going to send this man into a blind fury, which we're seeing. We're seeing. Now, with that said, I'm sorry. It's not funny. We're, at this point, I think we're all just slap happy, right? We're just tired and we're slap happy, and it's just ridiculous. But the truth is coming out, and the goddess has risen. The goddess has risen. She is making sure that she's collecting on those debts. And remember, we talked about Saturn and Neptune and Pisces both having to do with our final exam as humanity, right? It literally had everything to do with who are you really? What is your character, right? And Saturn and Neptune, especially at these end, because it's the last degrees of the last sign of the zodiac. This is literally the end of an epoch. We are literally entering brand new meta territory, right? So in terms of the evolutionary cycles, we're about to enter a whole new world. And this Saturn Neptune conjunction in Pisces, right? Because this is literally the last pass. We went through this last year. We talked about it last year or earlier this year. But now we're at the last pass of it. Okay. And once we go into Aries, that's it. That's it. You get what you get. And we also said that a lot of karmic comeuppance, right? And testing and all sort of stuff is going to come through, because this is the final exam. And we are having it. So not only have we seen the ancestors rise up and do some really spooky, hinky stuff with some, iconic symbols of slavery in the South, those old buildings and plantation manors that just mysteriously burned up. There's one in Washington, did the same thing. We're also seeing a lot of this stuff getting exposed. And listen, you want to talk about 2D, 3D, 4D chess? I'm not a chess player, but I'm just saying, if we're going to talk about advanced level of chess and strategy, you couldn't make this stuff up. Literally, Gravalda, I think her name is, the rep from Arizona that signed the petition, sealed in, literally locked and sealed every signature on that petition. They couldn't get out of it if they wanted to. And all of this stuff is just kind of happening by, their own design, but you literally couldn't have planned this better. So the goddess is here, and she is talking. She is talking. Okay. So with that said, now here are some dates I want you guys to watch. And also some reminders. Now, November 20th, which is, just before Thanksgiving, we've got a new moon at 28 Scorpio. This particular new moon is very, very important, because this new moon is going to hit at 28 Scorpio. It's going to hit the anti-Sia of Trump's. Oh dear God, I just forgot. Oh no, not Trump. This new moon on the 20th at 28 degrees Scorpio will hit the anti-Sia of the Sun-Pluto conjunction in the inauguration chart. Now, okay. So with that said, on the 20th of this new moon at 28 Scorpio, it will be on the anti-Sia and the contra anti-Sia of that Sun-Pluto conjunction, the consolidation of power and the power of the people that we saw in the inauguration chart. So the 20th is going to be huge for all of us. This is a whole new thing. Now, as we do this with the signing of the petition, what we're also seeing is, starting out immediately, Uranus is in the contra anti-Sia of that Sun-Pluto conjunction. So this petition and all the Epstein files literally being leaked, released, whatever, and the event of this thing being a petition being signed, okay, is literally going to upend the game table. And we're seeing it, but this is not one of those things that's going to go away. And I told you back in the day when we talked about the Grand Cross in Trump's chart, that whatever this was, this might be his undoing, because it's not going to go. He's not getting out of this. And lo and behold, the next thing you know, within a week or so, it was the Epstein files. So all of this is coming to play as we speak. So that is what we have on tap for November. Now, as we get closer to Thanksgiving, the second important date this month I want you guys to watch is Saturn stationing direct. Now, Mercury will go direct at the end of the month, but Mercury is a minor player right now, because Mercury is literally just the details, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, it's formalities. The real important one is that on Thanksgiving, on November 27th here in the United States, Saturn will station direct. Saturn will unleash all sorts of holy hell and karma for the people who deserve it, because she's finishing up her pass at 25 Pisces. Okay. Now, what's important about this particular Saturn station, remember, Saturn rules karma and your just desserts, the things you've earned for yourself. This particular Saturn station at 25 Pisces will be in the anti-Sia of Trump's Neptune. Now, for those of you who don't remember Trump's chart, I just happen to have it right here. Oh, wait, sorry, hang on. So Neptune rules or is in his second house. Now, for those of you who don't buy into the nonsense about him being Leo rising, okay, and agree with me that he is Mercury, Virgo rising with Mercury ruling chart. So one of the things that we know is looking at his chart, right? Mercury, okay, is in square to Neptune in the second house. And that is absolutely the signature of fraud, con men, flim flam artist, baby, flim flam. And that's literally his entire MO in life is just lying. And that's also compulsive liars and germaphobes. So that's his MO in life is basically, move this down, okay, is being a con man as well as, the lying about his assets, right? Because the second house represents your assets, right? Now, Neptune in his chart rules his eighth house, which is debts and loans. Okay, all the assets we share with other people that are not exclusively ours. So, for instance, this sweater that I'm wearing, this is my second house asset. Okay, the money on my credit card that I might have used to buy this shirt, that money is eighth house because it's shared. I don't actually own it completely. So with his Mercury Neptune square out of the 10th? No, 11th. I'm so sorry, the 11th. And a second, it's all about flim flam. And the Neptune rules his eighth house, which is shared money and loans and debts. So what I would expect as we get down to Thanksgiving, that with this Saturn stationing direct in the anti-Sia of his Neptune ruling that eighth house, all this nonsense about where his money's been coming from is going to come out in the open. And the things he's been lying about, which is pretty much everything at this point, right? So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. So keep an eye on that date. For those of you who are trying to celebrate Thanksgiving, I mean, do the best that you can, but know that we're getting there. We are so getting there. Okay. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm trying to keep this video quick. Now, I will be doing, if you guys are interested, let me know in the comment section, and I will put together a video. I'll try to find my PowerPoint and get that sorted out. We'll do this as a teaching lesson so you can look at the charts and follow along that way if it makes it easier for you. And that's it. So this is the month. This is the month. And honestly, I really, really wondered if he was going to make it to Thanksgiving. I really didn't think he was going to make it past Thanksgiving. I certainly could never have, I don't have enough of imagination to make up this stuff. So I never in a million years would have imagined the stuff that's happened, that has happened, and things that have gone down the way they have gone down. But wow, I mean, talk about a nail biter. And people's true colors have been exposed. The goddesses made it quick work to show people beyond any shadow of a doubt exactly who they are, right? Exactly who they are. And we remember you, every single one of you. So, yeah, this is the end of the road for him. This is, I don't care what anybody else says, this is the end of the road for him. And he has been instrumental in breaking open a blister of racism and ignorance and hatred in this country so that it can be addressed. The only thing left now is to deal with ICE and those criminals. And we're going to get there. But for right now, we got to get this guy off the playing field, and he's on his way out. So it's going to be an interesting November for the remainder of it. So get some popcorn, love your family and your friends. We'll talk to you guys soon. And remember to give if you have something to give, and give thanks that you have the extra to give. All right. See you soon.